Echoes of Doubt. Chapter 1. The Shadow in Apartment 214. I settled into my new apartment with the sense of accomplishment one feels after navigating a complex relocation process. The quaint two-story building seemed perfect, charming, yet safe from the chaos of the city. Its Victorian architecture and serene courtyard promised an oasis where I could finally find solace amidst life's turbulent whirlwind. But it was not until my second night here that something strange caught my attention. A figure, tall and shadowy, crouched outside my window. At first glance, it resembled a man huddled in a peculiar stance, as if listening intently to the darkness beyond the glass. I rubbed my eyes, thinking fatigue played tricks on me after the long move. However, as days passed, this apparition persisted. Every evening, at precisely 3:15 a.m., the figure reappeared. It was never closer than 5 feet from the window, yet seemed to be watching me with a gaze that prickled the hairs on my arms. My curiosity grew alongside the unease it stirred within me. I tried to brush it off as mere hallucination born from the stress of adapting to a new environment. But one fateful night, while sipping tea in my cozy living room, I spotted something else. Whispers. Faint, yet unmistakable. Words carried on an ethereal breeze that only reached my ears, like secrets shared by the wind itself. Find the truth. Run. The window shuddered as if touched by invisible fingers. My heart raced as I leaned closer to the glass. Shadows danced within the darkness, and a face materialized, the figure. Its features were obscured, but it beckoned with an outstretched hand. A chill crept down my spine. I retreated to the couch, yet couldn't shake off the feeling that our eyes locked for a moment too long. A few nights later, I witnessed more. The neighbor who lived in 207, a man with an unremarkable face and a penchant for solitude, left his apartment at odd hours. His behavior piqued my curiosity as much as the nocturnal observer outside mine. One evening, he handed me a peculiar package through the mail slot, a book titled The Echoes of Oakwood Manor. Confusion turned to dread when I discovered it belonged to Margaret Douglas, a tenant from decades ago. As I delved into its yellowed pages, unsettling tales emerged, tales of dark deeds committed within these very walls. The story spoke of a woman who dwelled in 207 and an infant girl with a fateful presence that haunted this place, the echo mentioned in the title. The book's content merged with those whispers. Each night, it seemed, I heard fragments, a wailing child's cry echoing from the courtyard or an unintelligible plea for help. I'd venture to the balcony, scanning for signs of life, but find nothing. The echoes intensified, becoming insistent pleas for help, until one morning, my door rattled violently. Heart pounding, I opened it to a package containing a photograph, a portrait of Margaret Douglas herself, face pale and contorted in anguish. Attached was a note. You have been chosen. Chosen? By whom or what? My gaze drifted back upstairs. Was the enigmatic neighbor watching me from his lair? I began researching Oakwood Manor's history. The more I read, the more chilling connections I unearthed between Margaret and the present-day tenant in 207. A local historian's interview mentioned the child dying under tragic circumstances, a tragedy buried by the landlord's haste to renovate. Intrigued and unsettled, I decided to confront him about his interest in these matters. His evasive responses and averts of the eyes fueled my investigation. One fateful night, I peeked through the peephole to find the neighbor lingering outside Margaret's room. Shadows danced across the walls as he rummaged through old trunks, dust that covered memories of the past. I knocked lightly. His door creaked open, revealing dim lighting and a manila folder on the floor. An investigation of my own, he muttered cryptically before retreating into the shadows, leaving the folder behind. Its contents painted a stark picture. Margaret's child perished in 1952 after being abandoned on these grounds, a fate he believed was connected to malevolent forces. The landlord, Mr. Jenkins, refused to discuss this dark legacy when I confronted him. It was simply old wives' tales. Little did I know then that unearthing the truth would unravel the very fabric of my life. Chapter 2. Whispers from Next Door. The folder's contents captivated me as the nocturnal visits increased. Mysterious objects in the mailbox and cryptic letters penned by an unknown sender, each echoing fragments from Margaret's past. They spoke of a tragic child, a murderer among us, and whispers that echoed through the ages. Each letter mentioned the keeper, hinting at someone or something holding Oakwood Manor hostage for decades. My obsession with this enigma bordered on madness, yet I felt an inexplicable pull toward the truth. Digging further, I found Mr. Jenkins' past involvement in occult practices before becoming a landlord, a connection to these sinister forces. The letters intensified in frequency and urgency. They spoke of impending doom. Night after night, the figure outside my window loomed closer, drawing me into the darkness with its hypnotic stare. It was as if beckoned to uncover Oakwood's secrets. I received an envelope containing a child's shoe, its leather cracked with age, a tangible piece of history. The next day, I found it on the floor outside Margaret's door, accompanied by another letter. Witnessed. They will come for you too. I approached Mr. Jenkins, who dismissed everything with a dismissive wave, implying paranoia set in after the relocation stress. Yet his unease was palpable. There was more to him than he let on. As the strange items accumulated, childhood toys and newspaper clippings of long, forgotten crimes, the figure outside began leaving signs of blood on my windowsill. I could no longer ignore this convergence of echoes, each echoing louder in my mind's ear. One night, as I watched it watching me, a gust swept through the courtyard. It was then that I noticed something else. 207's door wasn't just locked, but sealed from the inside. During the day, I ventured into the basement where old newspapers and tenant records sat untouched since the 50s. There, among yellowed pages, I found Margaret's lease, her story intertwined with Oakwood Manor's dark history. A tragic love affair, a child left behind in a cruel act of vengeance. The lover, James Wilkins, was arrested but escaped during transport. It was said he disappeared into the woods near Oakwood Park. That fateful night, outside my window, I saw James standing in the moonlight, long gone, or so history claimed. His eyes locked with mine before vanishing among the trees. A shiver coursed through me. Echoes of a century, that old tragedy pulsed like a malignant heartbeat as the wind picked up. The figure whispered a single word, James. The landlord's hasty departure and subsequent silence only fanned the flames of my curiosity. Chapter 3. The Inescapable Truth. In the midst of night, I fled downstairs to confront the truth. 207 was now open. James Wilkins stood within its threshold, ashes dusting his disheveled form. His gaze still lingered on mine when he turned to face me, a faint smile curling his lips. "You see them too," he whispered, offering an unspoken understanding. Together, we unraveled the occult's dark legacy and James' fate. a gruesome end in those woods. I realized Margaret's child wasn't just abandoned, it was sacrificed. The keeper, the spirit that bound them, still lurked among these halls. I sought answers but found more questions in the musty basement. Mr. Jenkins, revealed to be a direct descendant of both lovers, had perpetuated this malevolent force. Desperate for peace, I approached Oakwood Park, where James' ghostly figure beckoned from afar. Unearthing the secrets meant embracing my connection to it all. A bloodline tie through Margaret's child born out of love and betrayal. The keeper whispered truths in the wind as we stood amidst the trees, the wailing, pleading voices echoing around us. I confronted Mr. Jenkins. He confessed his role in unleashing hell, hoping a sacrifice would appease an ancient power. It was too late. James' spirit merged with mine, becoming its vessel now that Margaret's descendant had been found, a new keeper in this circle of blood and darkness. The wind died as I realized my fate, to ensure the cycle ended or succumbed to it. Faced with the weight of a century's secrets, I accepted my role. As morning light crept through the trees, James, now within me, vanished into the shadows, leaving behind a final echo. Margaret's child was never alone that fateful night.